Hello and welcome back. I'm Anna Kalczyńska and you're watching World News here on TVP World, live from Warsaw. Developing a coalition of the willing to defend Ukraine if a ceasefire is brokered with Russia is just one proposal announced by British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. The arm of the support plan is to ensure a just and lasting peace for Ukraine. EU correspondent Angela Skujins reports.
Developing a coalition of the willing, which would be countries banded together to defend Ukraine if a ceasefire deal is brokered, is just one point of a larger plan proposed by UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. He made the announcement on Sunday in London following high-level talks comprised of 18 heads of state from across Europe. The top of that agenda was discussing the rapid-fire developments regarding that ceasefire negotiation between Russia and Ukraine being brokered by US President Donald Trump. The other points as part of this proposal include ensuring that military aid continues to flow to Kyiv, as well as economic pressure being exerted on Moscow, as well as ensuring that Ukraine's military capabilities are strengthened if a ceasefire deal is brokered, as well as ensuring that the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy is at the table for the ceasefire negotiations. We're expecting further comments regarding this proposal at high-level talks in Brussels on Thursday at an extraordinary European Council summit that was convened to discuss Ukrainian security as well as the European defensive infrastructure. We know that the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen made the call on Sunday that security guarantees are imperative to ensuring that that ceasefire negotiation is long-lasting there. She also said that Europe needs to immediately rearm itself. So we'll wait and see what the outcomes regarding that kind of comment at those talks later this week. Angela Skujins from Brussels for TVP World.
And what will be the future of the partnership agreement between Ukraine and the US? Our correspondent Oz Katerji reports from Kyiv with the answers.
Following another series of diplomatic discussions between European leaders and the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has iterated that he is still willing to sign a mineral deal with the United States if the White House is still interested in signing it. Let's take a listen to what the Ukrainian president had to say.
The minerals agreement is ready. We are very consistent people. There were many options, there is a final version and it is ready. The ministers can sign it. As president, I said that we can do it. We are not taking any steps back. Our policy is to be consistent. Despite what happened earlier, we remain constructive. If we say that we will sign, we are ready to sign. I honestly think that the United States will be ready as well.
So Kyiv there still indicating that it is interested in signing this partnership agreement with the United States. However, Kyiv is still looking for security guarantees from the United States. That was clear in these meetings in London. That was clear from the words of the European leaders who all said the same thing, that all of these guarantees, including putting troops on the ground in Ukraine, need to be backed up by firm action from the United States. Without that, this mineral deal is not going to get Ukraine closer to the position that it's hoping the White House will adopt going forward. So much more diplomacy to come if Ukraine is to salvage anything from this deal. And Zelenskyy is very much hoping that he can go back to Washington and finally sign this deal. It's Oz Katerji reporting from Kyiv for TVP World.
Donald Trump offered Ukraine a good deal because Ukraine is not able to fully explore the mineral resources, said Piotr Kaszowara, president of UA Future Foundation. He added that it was a 50% or nothing situation for Ukraine.
He offered Ukraine a good deal, I will say. This agreement that Ukraine and United States are wishing, I believe, to sign It's a good agreement for Ukraine from many sides. First of all, the rare earths that are in Ukrainian ground right now, they are not explored because Ukraine has no technology, Ukraine has no specialist who can do it well. So in this kind of a situation, Ukraine can have 50% of the benefits or nothing.
In an interview for American network ABC, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio downplayed Donald Trump's row with Volodymyr Zelenskyy and the U.S. president, calling his Ukrainian counterpart a dictator, while sparing Russian leader Vladimir Putin. Rubio also argued that concerns regarding Moscow's inclination to keep their end to the bargain in any peace deal are not constructive.
No one here is claiming Vladimir Putin is going to get the Nobel Peace Prize this year, or that he should be the Man of the Year of the Humanitarian Association. What we're arguing here is he has a very large country. They're in full war footing. They're cranking out weapons now at a war footing pace. And we need to figure out, is there a way to get them to stop the war? And the only way you're going to do that is to get Russians engaged in negotiations, something the Europeans haven't been able to do, the Biden administration wasn't able to do or didn't even try. That's the goal here.
Over the weekend, Russian military forces launched a series of strikes targeting Ukrainian infrastructure, with a particularly deadly attack in Kyiv. Ukrainian forces have continued to successfully repel multiple Russian attacks across various fronts over the past 24 hours.
On March 2nd, Russian missiles struck the city of Kyiv, injuring 8 people, including a child. Local authorities reported widespread damage as the city continues to endure repeated assaults from Russian forces. Meanwhile, similar attacks occurred in Kyiv, where a woman was injured and local businesses and a hospital were damaged. The ongoing strikes highlight the ongoing brutality of the conflict as Russia intensifies its assault on Ukrainian cities. On the Russian side, a major fire broke out at the Umsky oil refinery in Ufa, some 1,400 kilometers inside Russia on March 3rd. The cause remains unconfirmed, but Russian forces have repeatedly targeted Russian oil facilities with drone strikes since the spring of 2024. These attacks have been part of Ukraine's strategy to disrupt Russia's oil industry, which funds its military operations.
There is no unity of opinion on the seizing of Russian assets, said Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk during a press briefing on Sunday. His statement follows in the wake of the Ukrainian summit held in London, which focused on achieving durable and lasting peace in Ukraine.
W tej sprawie nie ma jedności poglądów.
There is no unity of opinion on this issue. Or to put it another way, everyone knows that it would be best to seize Russian assets and allocate them to the defense and rebuilding of Ukraine. But some fear the adverse consequences of such a move, whether for the euro or the banking system. Therefore, enthusiasm for this solution is limited. Poland is very much in favor, but also let's not fool ourselves, since we are not in the eurozone. Warsaw will not be the deciding voice on this matter.
The incoming German government may significantly raise the country's defense spending. News agency Reuters reports that the parties involved in coalition negotiations want to set up a special defense fund, which could boost Germany's military spending by hundreds of billions of euro.
Following his party's election victory last month, Christian Democrat leader and likely Germany's next chancellor Friedrich Merz has said that Germany should seek independence from the US and boost its own defensive capabilities. Berlin currently spends around 2% of its GDP on defense, but has only reached NATO's 2% goal recently.
The new Austrian government is set to be sworn in later today. 5 months after the elections, 3 parties, the Christian Democrat People's Party, the Social Democrats and the Liberal Neos Party, have agreed to form a ruling coalition.
Even though the elections were won by the far-right Freedom Party, the grouping will remain in the opposition. During the past 5 months, the People's Party made 2 attempts at forming the government. The first immediately after the elections, which failed, and later after the far right was unsuccessful at finding coalition partners. People's Party leader Christian Stocker is now set to become Austria's next chancellor.
Nord Stream 2 may still see a revival. A former spy and close friend of Vladimir Putin is pushing to restart Russia's Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline to Europe. His efforts now have the backing of US investors. Matthias Warnig, an ex-Stasi officer from East Germany who ran Nord Stream 2's parent company for Kremlin-controlled gas giant Gazprom until 2023, is the man behind the plan. According to sources close to the prospective deal, Warnig decided to approach the Trump administration through American entrepreneurs. The subject fell on fertile ground as the relationship between Kyiv and Washington deteriorates and economic ties between US and Russia tighten. Any such deal between Washington and Moscow would require the US to lift sanctions against Russia, and some American investors have already reportedly expressed interest in possible cooperation. Other reports suggest that some EU officials have become aware of these talks and expressed concern over these developments. On Sunday, Finnish authorities released the Eagle S tanker suspected of damaging undersea cables in the Gulf of Finland. The vessel is believed to be one of many belongings to Russia's shadow fleet. While the investigation remains ongoing, the Cook Islands flagged vessel was released after the Finnish Central Criminal Police concluded there was no ground to continue its detention. The tanker is now under surveillance as it exits Finland's territorial waters. The Eagle S is suspected of leaving 100 kilometers long gouge in the bottom of the sea, damaging electricity and telecom links. Discovered on Christmas Day last year, it marked the first of several sabotage incidents linked to Russia's shadow fleet. And with this information, we conclude this edition of World News. So much for now. Thank you very much for watching, but please stay tuned to TVP World for more information and comments. See you soon. Goodbye.